All right, let's talk about something that pretty much every online business deals with, the hidden costs of bad data. And trust me, they're a lot higher than you think. So let's just kick things off with a pretty provocative question. You use analytics, I use analytics. We all trust the numbers. But what if that data is actually lying to you? Not on purpose, of course, but in a way that's leading you to make some really bad decisions. And you can see why we fall for it, right? We're told over and over again that numbers don't lie, that data is this pure, objective source of truth that's going to help us make smarter, more profitable choices. It's a really compelling idea. But, there's this great phrase from economics: there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. And that idea, sometimes called tans to foul, it applies perfectly to analytics. Even those free tools, they come with these hidden costs that can be way more expensive than any monthly subscription. So today, we are going to pull back the curtain. We're going to investigate the three big hidden culprits that are secretly making your data so costly: relevance, reliability, and sampling. Okay, first up, culprit number one, relevance. And this isn't just about the data being right or wrong. It's about whether you can actually use it when you need it most. See, in analytics, relevance really comes down to two things. Is it timely, and is it accessible? I mean, if you have to wait 24 hours just for the data to process, or it's buried so deep in some report that you need a data scientist to find it, well, it's pretty much useless for making a decision right now. Think about it like this. There are two big ways bad data eats up your time. First, there's the time to data. That's just how long it takes to get your hands on the raw numbers. But then there's the time to insight, which is how long it takes to find something you can actually do with those numbers. Imagine a social media post of yours just goes viral, but your analytics tool takes a whole data update. By the time you get the insight that it worked, the internet has already moved on. The moment is gone. All right, on to our second culprit. This one's a little sneakier and honestly a lot more dangerous. Let's call it the reliability illusion. This is where your data doesn't just waste your time, it actively points you in the wrong direction. One of the biggest psychological traps here is a cognitive bias called WYSITI. It's an acronym that stands for What You See Is All There Is. Basically, it's our brain's default setting to make big decisions using only the info that's right in front of our face. This makes us super overconfident because we're not even thinking about what we can't see. The iceberg here is the perfect way to picture it. That clean, simple number on your dashboard, that's just the tip. What's hidden deep below the surface are all the assumptions and the missing context that give that number its real meaning. Another piece of this reliability puzzle is something called the framing effect. This is all about how the way information is presented to you can completely change how you feel about it and what you do next. Just look at this example. Same exact data. On the left, it says 90% of users ignored the new feature. Ouch. Sounds like a total failure, right? But on the right, it says 10% of users engaged with the new feature. Well, that sounds like a pretty decent start. It's the same reality, but the frame changes everything. And a lot of tools have these frames built right in, nudging you toward one conclusion. And look, this framing thing, it isn't always something our tools do to us. A lot of the time, we do it to ourselves. It brings to mind this famous warning from the economist Ronald Coase. When we really, really want a certain outcome, it is dangerously easy to twist and torture the data until it confesses to whatever we wanted to hear in the first place. So, let's make this real with a metric we all know and, well, a metric we all know: bounce rate. We've all been trained to think that a high bounce rate is bad, a sign of failure. But is that really true? The bounce rate metric has a huge, flawed assumption baked right into its DNA. And that assumption is: a user leaving a page without interacting is a failure, period. And by focusing on that metric, we automatically accept that assumption as truth. But hold on, think about it. What if your site is a single-page app? What if a user lands on your blog, finds the exact answer they need in the first paragraph, and leaves? Totally happy. Or what if they just needed to find your phone number, saw it right away, and left? In all of those situations, a high bounce rate is actually a sign of success. And that brings us to our third and final culprit, another way data can lead us astray: the danger of sampling. This is a big statistical trap that a lot of analytics tools fall into, especially the free ones. This is where the data isn't just incomplete, it's actually a distorted picture of reality. You see, when a tool uses sampling, it's not looking at all of your user data. Nope, it just takes a tiny slice and basically guesses that it represents the whole pie. It's like trying to review an entire movie by watching just one 30-second clip. You might see the epic car chase, but you completely miss the plot twist that explains why it's even happening. And this is so risky because online user behavior is all over the place. Someone using a brand new iPhone on Chrome is going to have a totally different experience than someone on an old Android tablet with a glitchy browser. In the digital world, those so-called edge cases are actually where the biggest problems and opportunities are hiding. Sampling, by its very nature, ignores the edges. That's a huge risk. So, what happens when you put all three of these culprits together? You've got poor relevance, this illusion of reliability, and dangerous sampling. What is the real true cost of all this? Well, it's a simple and pretty devastating chain reaction. First, you put your trust in bad data. Second, based on that flawed evidence, you make a bad strategic decision. And third, that one bad decision ends up costing you real, cold, hard time and money. And that's the key takeaway here. The most expensive mistake you can possibly make isn't paying a subscription for a good tool. It's making a huge business-changing decision based on the flawed, incomplete, and misleading evidence you got from a free one. So the next time you're looking at your dashboard, don't just ask what the data is telling you. Ask yourself, what is it hiding? What assumptions are baked into these metrics? Then go challenge those assumptions. Compare that data to other sources. Go talk to your actual users. That is where the real insights are hiding, and that's how you turn data from a potential liability into your most powerful asset.